Welcome to Street Stories, a podcast of real, raw, and unfiltered stories of homelessness told by Skip Finkfish, founder and pastor of Word on the Street Homeless Ministries. Please be advised these stories are for a mature audience. Our goal is to bring you as close to the reality of homelessness as we can, one story at a time.
So a couple weeks ago, I was in St. Petersburg visiting with my son and his family for my grandson's birthday. And we went out to dinner Saturday night. And interestingly enough, that, I believe, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I believe the Lord orders my steps. And I believe that everywhere I go, He sends me, if you will. I'll tell you the penny story sometime. That'll be in a podcast. You can look forward to that, my story about the pennies. But anyway, we went to this one restaurant where we were planning on having dinner, and the wait was like 2.5 hours or something. We had already paid for a parking space in a lot and all of that, and went over, and we just didn't have time for that. So there was another restaurant that my son knew of, but I don't think he had ever been to. A smaller one, kind of like off of the strip that we were on. The road that we were on, and so we went there, and the wait wasn't near as long. And my son and my wife and the family went inside to sit down on a bench inside the front door. And I'm not an inside guy; I'm an outside guy. So while I'm waiting, I'm walking up and down the sidewalk outside the restaurant because that's just me. So I'm walking up and down the sidewalk, and then there's this guy that's sitting at an outside table with his dog on the ground, and it's a golden retriever, and I have a golden retriever, and so he's eating his food, and so I walk up to him and introduce myself, and he says, hey, and I tell him I have a golden retriever too, and so he starts telling me about his dog, and we start talking back and forth and trying to get to know each other a little bit, making small talk while he's there eating his food. And then I feel this person next to me, and they weren't moving. It's kind of like, people passing you on the sidewalk, but this one wasn't moving. And so, I looked, and here was this lady, and I mean a little lady, little in size, but I found out large in courage. She was standing right beside me and staring up at me like this, and she's going like this. She's looking up at me, and she's taking her hand, and she's just going back and forth to her mouth. And so I said to her, "You're hungry?" She wasn't dressed well, really bad teeth, obviously, or assumably homeless. So, I asked her, would you like to eat? Well, right across interestingly enough, right across there was a roundabout, and on the other side of the roundabout, there was a food truck there. And so I said to her, walk with me, and I'm finding out as we're beginning to make conversation that she's deaf. And her voice was distorted slightly, and she was using her hands, and she was signing to me, and I know a little bit. I've had some deaf folks in the homeless ministry over the years, and some of them have taught me some things. But anyway, I was trying to get her to walk across the circle with me to the food truck that was over there. And I'm not sure what it was, I wasn't sure what it was. So I told her, can we go over to that food truck? And she goes, no. So it was like she wanted to eat, but she didn't want to eat that, whatever it was. And I don't even remember anymore. I think it might have been like funnel cakes or some kind of pastry or something. I don't remember. My son is here and he's nodding his head yes. That's not what she wanted. No, she wanted food. And I thought, well, good for you. So I told her, I went inside and got my son because he knows more sign than I do. And I got them kind of talking back and forth a little bit, and she was trying to explain, and he was signing things, and they told each other their names, and so it turned out real well. My son said to me, interestingly enough, later on, "Why does everybody walk up to you everywhere you go? People just walk up to you." And I don't know, but it's a blessing, actually, that they do. So, long story short, we took her inside the restaurant with us when we got our table, and she didn't sit down. There was just enough chairs for us, and I wanted to pull a chair over. She didn't want me to pull a chair over. So she's standing at the end of our table, and we're trying to go through the menu and find something that she would want to eat. By the way, her name was Annette, if I haven't said that yet. Which is, how did it go, Russ? This? Across the face. So this was her name, Annette. Um, so we're trying to get her, and she, when we pointed at different things on the menu, and she was real clear about what she didn't like. I thought it was cute as could be. Anyway, so we're talking, and I'm thinking, good for you. You've got some courage here. You're in this place where you have been thrown out of before for walking in the door. We found out, and you're with people that you don't know, and we're looking at the menu, but you want to get something that you like to eat. I'm like, cool. So while we're talking with her, the server came over, and excuse me. Uh, the server came over, and not in an ugly way, but she came over because she was getting pressure from whoever to come over and said to Annette, "You need to leave. You need to leave. You're bothering customers." And so I explained to the server that she was with us and she was our guest. We were just getting her food to go. So she wasn't bothering us. And so she kind of glanced, and I noticed that there were two other tables behind my son over against the wall that were looking and talking, and, they were not happy with her being in there. That's how it goes. So anyway, she picked out, I think it was like a chicken fried rice or something. And the server, it was fine. So the server she took all of our order, including hers. And I said, when you bring ours, just bring hers and bring hers in a to-go box and add it to my bill, and we'll just take care of it. So that's what happened. But while it was being served, while it was being cooked, Annette walked outside. And I was thinking, oh no, I hope she's not leaving. So I walked out just to check on her and to tell her it's okay. You can be inside. You're our guest. It's all right. Because I found out that she had been come in before and asked for food and was put back out again. So I looked, and there was a restaurant up the street, and there were some high tops on the sidewalk, high top tables on the sidewalk for like an outside eating area for this particular restaurant. And she was at a table where the people had already left, and she was eating food off of the plates that were remaining on the table. And so I walked down to her, and I told her, it's okay. We're ordering you food, and it's coming. Come back down and be with us. So she came back down. She was very friendly, very, very friendly, but very determined. And so she came in, and there was a bench along the wall right inside the door. And I told her, sit here, and you won't have to feel uncomfortable. You're over here. And so eventually the food came out, and we gave her food, and, said goodbye and tried to encourage her a little bit. And she went outside to take her food and eat. When I walked out with her, and while she was standing there holding her food, and then she looks at me and she says, "It's cold. Coffee, coffee." she wanted, she wanted coffee, and I said, "I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee. I don't know exactly where we can do that." And then she was like, "It's okay, it's okay." So then I just thought that was cool. So then she went her way. When I came back in again, when I was paying the bill for dinner, I said to the server, "Here's my card." And I gave her my ministry card. And I said, "This is my phone number. It's my only phone number. If Annette ever comes in here, would you please approach her and ask her what she wants to eat? When you find out what she wants to eat, call this number and I'll pay for her dinner over the phone. I can do this. This is a ministry. People donate to me. I have some money in the bank, and that's what we do. We buy food for people. So once again, out of your generosity, there's money in the account. I can buy food for people. So thank you for participating in this." So I didn't know if it would ever happen. The server took my card, and she was and she actually apologized for having to do what I said. "I know that you didn't." Come to find out that the server was also a believer. So we paid, we left, and last Saturday, 2 weeks later, my phone rings Saturday afternoon. And I said, "Hello," and it was the server from the restaurant. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but it's spelled Leew, Liu or something like that. It's Pin, Pinon, Pin on Asian Fusion Cafe or something like that in St. Petersburg. I highly recommend it. The best hot and sour soup, and I'm a connoisseur. The best hot and sour soup I've ever eaten. The food was really good. So I would go to Pin On in St. Pete and I would ask for Liu, and it'll be a good experience for you. Anyway, she called me and said, "Annette is here." And I walked up to her and she wants to eat. And I told her, "Wait a minute." And she called me and I said, "Great. What is she, let her pick out. What does she want?" So again, she got the chicken fried rice again. And so I paid for it over the phone. Annette got her food, but the server was so happy to be a part of something like that instead of having to walk up to someone and put them out. This was an opportunity for her to be able to help someone that she couldn't help personally, and the restaurant not giving her what, there's all kinds of reasons all these things are done. But my point is that because of your generosity, we have the ability to feed people. And feeding people is important. And the servers follow through and being willing to trust me enough to, who she never met before either, and call me and have me, that I would actually pay for it over the phone. And, so the whole thing just worked together really, really well. So, I could wax spiritual and say, well, the restaurant that we wanted to go to was too full and it ended up, and we picked this one just out of the sky. And I could say that all of this fell into place because God wanted this woman, Annette, to be cared for and to become part of what we do. I'm not going to say that, but I'm not going to not say that. So we're just going to let God do what God does. And we're going to try to do our best to pay attention to what it is that He wants us to do. And thank you for being involved in the process. So when I'm in St. Pete, I'm going to be looking for Annette because she's now part of the Watts family. pretty cool.
Thank you for watching this episode of Street Stories, brought to you by Word on the Street Homeless Ministries. Please follow us on Facebook at Watts for Homeless and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Watts for Homeless. If you would like to learn more information about our ministry here in Orlando, Florida, you can visit us at wattsforhomeless.com. And if you would like to be a monthly donor or give a one-time donation, you can visit wattsforhomeless.com/give. Thank you.